Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video we're actually going to be taking a look at something a little different, that being this all new top toy type tank Shaanxi Mountain Lion, which I believe is a brand new lineup from a third party company which is essentially taking complete original designs that can in fact actually transform from a robot into an alt form. Now as far as I'm concerned, these aren't actually based on any type of Transformers character, they've merely just taken the essence of Transformers, that being robots in disguise. So definitely really interesting, and I've got to be honest and say this figure is actually super awesome, especially for the first release in this brand new lineup. Now for those of you looking to add this guy to your collection, he is currently incoming over at Show Z, and for that of course I shall pack a link down in the description box below. They've actually got so many awesome unique designs actually coming out, so this guy really could be the tip of the iceberg, and honestly could in fact actually be a rival for so many companies out there, as this is a really cool idea that honestly is going to take so many concept ideas and in fact actually make them a reality. Now we'll take a closer look here at the details. Personally, I'm not entirely sure as to what to call this guy, and when I actually saw him for the first time, to me Bayverse Alpha Trion vibes immediately actually rose, so I'm actually going to call him Alpha Trion throughout this review, but of course he is not Alpha Trion. But you can see in regards to the actual face sculpt, it actually looks really awesome. Of course very Transformery in terms of its design, but we're trying to stay away from the Transformers vibe. These are not based on Transformers as far as I'm concerned, but you can see very nice looking paint as well as sculpt work going on for here. You can see we've got really awesome metallic gold. The actual cast plastic of this almost desert tan also looks pretty cool. You can see some nice silver, some nice allspark blue, some nice gunmetal for the mouthpiece, and I was actually quite surprised to see that the entire chest unit is in fact die cast, so that is super cool. And you once again see some of those really nice blue highlights as well as some of that dry brushing, some of that weathering effect. Overall it looks pretty awesome. As we turn our attention here to the shoulders, incredibly bulky. These are in fact the majority of the rear of the treads, so that's pretty awesome. You can see there's some very nice sculpt as well as detail once again, and then as we just work our way down to the lower section, you can see incredibly chunky lower forearms. We've got some really nice gold armor detailing actually applied here to the sides, some very nice looking dry brushing going on here. The fingers, whilst are on the slightly stubbier side, also don't look too bad, especially where the detail is concerned. And then as we turn our attention back here to the center, you can see some really nice sculpt work as well as detailing, and the legs are incredibly thick and bulky. You can see all of the armored panels there looking really cool, and I'm actually a huge fan of how they have in fact actually created the foot of this. You can see the tread does break up into multiple individual segments, of which actually forms this almost hill spur, which is super cool. And as we spin our attention here to the back, you can see that for the most part he is kibbleless, and that's essentially because the entire tank turret does remove in order to become his robot mode weaponry, which is a slight cheat, but we'll touch base more of that in just a second. Now in regards to articulation, he's got a fantastic ball joint, so this can look up that far, down that far, tilt side to side, as well as rotate the full 360, which is awesome. We surprisingly do get ratchet joints here at the shoulders, which can rotate the full 360, as well as a ratchet joint here going upwards, and we can also utilize this hinge joint, which is super cool. We do get a full rotation here at the bicep, as well as a 90-degree range of motion there at the elbow, full wrist rotation, and due to this in fact actually having a pin through it, you can in fact actually articulate the fingers, which is pretty cool. The actual plate here can lift out of the way in order to give him a waist rotation, which once again is pretty cool. The legs are on ratchet joints, so can click forwards that far to a pretty decent degree, as well as I'd say back to about that far. Sadly, the actual teeth where the ratchets are concerned going outwards are a little loose, so you can see there is a little bit of give going back and forth, which doesn't make posing him the easiest, especially if you do decide to click this outwards. You can see there that is definitely quite a lot of give between those teeth, but these can ratchet out to the sides to a terrific degree. We do in fact get a rotation here at the actual thigh, a 90-degree bend here at the knee, and the actual knee pad is in fact also created out of die cast. And then finally for the foot, this can in fact actually pivot forwards, backwards, as well as rock side to side to once again a pretty decent range. So overall, in terms of his actual design, considering this is completely original, and the articulation, I think this company has actually done a really good job, and I'm definitely anticipating to see what other designs do in fact see the light of day. Now we'll set him here off to the side for now, and in fact actually bring out some of his weaponry. So the main turret does become this almost shield. Now I guess you could kind of call this lazy, as essentially they do take quite a big portion of the tank and essentially make it detachable. Now if you really wanted to, you could leave this pegged here onto the back. It doesn't obstruct transformation, although it does make transformation a little more simpler to remove this, but you could essentially leave that attached there, and to be fair, doesn't look too bad. If anything, it actually makes this entire region look slightly more bulky to go with the actual bulky shoulders, so that's definitely pretty cool. And then we also do get included the tank turret, which does detach to become this really awesome staff. Once again, definitely got Alpha Trion vibes with this guy, but you can see pretty nice detailing going on here for this spike piece, and you can see throughout the actual tank turret itself, we've once again got some various splatters to give you the impression that this of course is battered and worn. Due to the hands being articulated, it can insert into either of them. You simply just poke it through there, snap that into place, wrap the actual fingers around, and there you've got this guy wielding this actual staff weapon, which is indeed actually fairly long, which is pretty cool. And then with this particular segment, you could in fact actually take this here and use it as an almost shield for this guy. So we could also attach that there, and considering he's got ratchets in the shoulders, he really doesn't have an issue holding this at all. So overall, definitely a pretty awesome looking figure. Now, in regards to some size comparisons, here we have this tank bot compared next to Studio Series Leader Class Shockwave and Dark of the Moon Megatron. So definitely in the Leader Class scale, I would say if you were planning on displaying this guy with some of your actual live action movie figures, then I don't think he's going to look too bad. And considering that he's a tank, it would stand to reason that he would in fact actually dwarf over pretty much any of the other releases, such as a regular sports car, or of course just a truck. So definitely pretty decent scale if once again you do wish to display him with some of the Studio Series figures. So turning to transformation, despite this guy being a third party release, he's actually relatively easy to convert from robot to tank, and of course vice versa. So to begin with, you are going to want to take the staff accessory here and in fact actually collapse this region down. And whilst we've done this, I can in fact actually show you an alternate weapon configuration of where you can in fact actually take the main turret, actually attach this section here, which you'll want to do for tank mode anyway, and actually attach this here onto the side of the arm. So if you wished him to have this almost mega cannon blast, then that is definitely something you can do, although I will be honest and say that does look a little ridiculous. Now, when I got this out of the packaging, I actually thought the turret was way too big. You can see this is massive. So you can in fact actually shrink this. So you can detach the top here and in fact actually detach this centerpiece, flip here to the underside, take this section, and you can see we've got two circular grooves here that this will in fact actually tab into place into, which is super cool. And then we can just take this here, align this up appropriately, and then just snap that there and set this here off to the side for now. We can then turn our attention here to the actual forearms. You're going to want to rotate here, lift this section up, and you can see how that tab there will peg into that slot. So just click that there into place. Of course, come to this side and repeat the same process. So align that up appropriately, take this tread section here, and in fact snap that into place, straighten out the head. We can then lift this skirt panel up, rotate the waist so that the front is now facing the back. We can then just collapse that section down. You'll then want to flip here to the back and in fact actually hinge out all of these panels. So just take this here, hinge that section up, lift that up like so, and you can see we've got two grooves here and here that will in fact actually peg into those slots. So just shoot these here backwards, and of course come to this side and repeat the same process. So just snap that section into place, and then we can take these panels and in fact overlap them, and they'll clip into place here at the rear of the vehicle. So come here to this side and then just snap these two halves together. We can then turn our attention here to the front now, and what you're going to want to do for this is essentially complete this front tread section. So pull that forwards. We can then straighten this region out. That tab will peg into that slot, and then here we can arch this joint, and you can once again see a tab that will peg there into that slot, and then this here will just come over. We can then take this here, detach this, bring this around, and you're in fact actually going to want to collapse this, and you can see this circular port will in fact actually peg into the back of the hand. So just snap that there into place, and once complete, just clip that tread there. We can then open this up, collapse this in upon itself, and that circular port will in fact peg there into that circular tab. So clip that into place. Of course, come to this side and repeat the same process. So straighten all of this out, come to this side and snap that into place, snap that into place, open this panel up, collapse this here in upon itself, close that wrist there, and then just come to this side, snap that there into place. We can then open that section up, collapse that down, snap that in there, and then finally you're going to want to lift this panel up, bring this up and over, which will really actually cement the two halves. So just snap that there, and then finally this will click over the top. And then for some finishing touches, of course, you're going to want to take the main tank turret itself, port that into place, and there you've got him fully transformed up into a pretty awesome tank. Now, not only does this look wicked, but the actual attention to detail and paint is pretty phenomenal. Once again, for a first release in this brand new line, they've definitely made a really lasting impression on me, and once again, I'm super excited to see as to what they can pull off with future releases, considering the tank looks this good, and the robot mode actually didn't look too bad at all. Now, as we bring this in here for a closer look, you can see very nice attention to detail. Once again, where those paint apps are concerned, I like all of the various nuts and bolts that you can see scattered throughout this section. Sadly, the tread is not functional due to the way it transforms, but the actual detailing doesn't look too bad. The wheels here don't look bad at all. You can see there's some very nice looking sculpt work. As we flip here to the underside, of course, the conversion does look fairly basic, as you have essentially got most of the robot visible on the underside, but to be fair, I find it to be quite enjoyable, and maybe if they had overcomplicated it, then perhaps we would have been left with a slightly unsightly tank mode. So personally, I'm not all that fussed about that. You can see here at the top, we've got the canopy section, various different nuts and bolts once more. We've in fact actually got a machine gun here, which is rotatable. You can see some very nice sculpt and paintwork going on for that. The main turret, which I have shrunk. You can decide to in fact actually leave the additional component on if you desire, but overall, very, very nicely done in my opinion. Now this section here can be risen and lowered. We can in fact rotate this here the full 360, and the actual tank can of course roll along the ground with absolute ease, which of course is what we love to see. So overall, very, very impressive looking piece. So some final thoughts here for the top toy type tank Shaanxi Mountain Lion. Overall, for a first release in this brand new product line, I actually think this is really, really well done. In regards to robot mode, it's completely original. It really doesn't resemble anything that we've seen previously, especially from the live action movies, despite in fact actually giving off that vibe in terms of the realism of the alt mode, the paintwork, as well as just the overall design. It definitely looks as if though it could blend in to the likes of the Bayverse, which is super cool, especially for a live action movie fan such as myself. I think the robot design is very impressive, especially where the head sculpt is concerned. I do have some minor qualms, such as the very loose ratchet joints that we've got going on the hips, but considering this is a first release and for the most part the QC is top notch, I'm easily able to forgive that. I think the articulation also is pretty decent. It comes with an alright range of accessories. I think it's quite cool how the turret can in fact transform into a staff, but I do find the actual turret section that does become the shield to be a little lazy. Maybe if they could have done something a little more with that, it could have been quite cool, but other than that, I think it's pretty awesome in terms of transformation. Very simplistic, but I think it results in a very awesome looking tank mode. Honestly, this looks awesome. It really does look as if though it's just a static model. It's that well done, especially in regards to the attention to detail as well as the paint apps, and once again, looks very, very impressive. It's a very large figure. It's got some die-cast components. The plastic all feels of a very good quality, and definitely I cannot wait to see as to what this company has got planned for future releases. So with all that being said, I'd love to know down in the comment section below on what you guys think of the product, as well as of course the review. If you are looking to add this guy to your collection, he's currently available and in stock right now over at ShowZ. And of course, also be sure to let me know on whether or not you guys are in fact interested to see some of the other products actually featured over here on the channel, as I definitely am really excited to see as to what they could release, and I think this guy is definitely a step in the right direction. As always, I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.